All right, guys, I'm back. This is Keith Shillan. This is the Sherdog.com One Championship Preview and Prediction Show. This week, I am taking a closer look at One Championship Next Gen 3. Usually the way I do this, as I cover all the main card fights, I usually focus on the MMA fights. I skip over the Muay Thai fights simply just because I don't feel like I'm knowledgeable enough in Muay Thai and kickboxing to really give a good breakdown. This card is going to be much shorter than most of my breakdowns because we only have 3 MMA fights on this card. But the reason why I wanted to cover this one is because I think it's a good card. I especially think it's good because the matchmaking is really good. Like, it's a very balanced card. I kind of see avenues for victory in all the guys on the card. So make sure you check out this card. It goes down this Friday, November. It is the 26th. It's being held in Singapore. If you want to watch it, if you're in the United States, you can head over to Bleacher Report, the Bleacher Report app, or the Bleacher Report YouTube page at 7:30 a.m. to check it out. If you're anywhere outside the United States, make sure you head over to One Championship. Right on the front page, go to the events, pull down how to watch. It'll tell you how to watch in your country. So let's get right into this card. As I said, we have three MMA matchups. The first MMA matchup we're going to look at is Pieter Buist versus Ruslan Emilbek. So I apologize if I said any names wrong. There's some tough teams on this one. So Buist is coming off a loss to Timothy Nasiyukin, so he really is in need of a win. He's a long and lengthy kickboxer. One thing I like about him is how calm he stays on the feet. He can fight out of both stances. He throws a lot of straight combos down the middle. He likes to throw a lot of kicks. One negative, though, is he throws some naked leg kicks, which can either be force him to get caught with a shot or taken down. He also throws a lot of knees up the middle, which, if you've ever watched any of my breakdowns, I love fighters who do that. Some negatives is that due to his kickboxing style, he tends to be a little bit of a stationary target right in front of his opponent. He also has a tall man's defense where he pulls his head straight back or he backs straight up. He also is not a strong wrestler. He gets taken down fairly easily and he struggles to get back up. But to his credit, he can pull off some submissions, especially from the bottom position where he uses his long arms and legs, looks for triangles, chokes. Move over to Emilbek. He's a fighter from Kyrgyzstan. He is also in need of a win as he was quickly knocked out by Yashihiko Nakahara in his last fight, which was Emilbek's One Championship debut. Similar to his opponent, he also is a long and lengthy fighter. Got some good output on his feet. He works behind a really busy jab. His straight right is his best punch. It really snaps it out there. He likes to press forward into the pocket where he unloads big combinations, but he's a little flat-footed, and he can easily be backed up towards the fence because he doesn't like to be pressured. The one way he gets around that is he's a good wrestler. He's got good reactionary doubles. He can get you to the ground. He's more of a submission over punishment kind of guy. He's got 4 submission wins in his career. One thing I do think he needs to improve his cardio, though. I have seen him fade in fights. So who do I think is going to win this fight? This is a tough call. I like both fighters. I think both fighters are solid. Buist is the better striker, but Emilbek is probably the more well-rounded fighter. Until I see Buist defend takedowns, I'm going to have a really hard time picking him, especially with someone like Emilbek who we've seen wrestle. Emilbek is really an opportunistic wrestler where he does really well to hide and disguise his takedowns. I think he's going to be able to take Buist down. I think he's going to be able to work from on top, I should say. And I think Emilbek's going to win a decision. So there's your first fight. The second fight is a rematch 7 years in the making as we have Alex Silva versus Rene Catalan. Alex Silva, if you're familiar with One Championship, you're probably familiar with Alex Silva. He's a former One Championship champion. He's 39 years old, though, and he's in the 125-pound weight class, and that's not a weight that really fares well for fighters that's get up there in age at 39. On the feet, his stand-up is almost non-existent. He kind of just throws wildly. He drops his hands, and everything he does with his hands is mostly just to kind of distract or out of necessity to set up his takedowns. Now, one negative about his takedown is he'll shoot without any setups, and he isn't a strong wrestler. He's not an NCAA wrestler or anything. He's a Brazilian who wants to get the fight to the ground where he can kind of flash his BJJ. He is a BJJ world champion, former world champion BJJ. He's a BJJ wizard. If he can't take you down, he'll pull guard. He'll also allow his opponent to take him down because he's not worried about playing jiu-jitsu off the back. And he really just wants to create a scramble where he can kind of use his grappling ability to win a scramble. He's got heavy top pressure if he finds himself on top. Great back takes. He's very aggressive to chase a submission. He'll actually put himself in bad position to get that submission. But if you make one mistake with him, he will force you to tap out. He'll look for heel hooks. He'll look for ankle locks. He has 8 wins by submission. Now, I said this is a rematch. They fought 7 years ago, and Silva beat Catalan. But Catalan's a much different fighter now. But I want to point out he's got 4 losses. Of his 4 losses, 2 of them come by way of submission. So that's definitely a real avenue for success for Alex Silva if he can get the fighter down. Now, Catalan he's a wushu fighter. He's a 2-time wushu world champion. He's a really great athlete. He's fast. He's strong. But he's wild. He throws these looping shots. He does hit hard. If you get in the clinch with him, he has big throws that kind of tend to zap your energy because they're so dynamic. But he's been taken down fairly easy for a guy who has like highlight reel takedowns. If he ends up on top, he's got really good ground pound, and he will look for subs. But I wouldn't really call him a submission threat. He only has 1 sub on his record. But in fairness, against Joshua Pacquiao, the current champion, he almost subbed him. He almost had an ankle lock on him. But if you put him on his back, he really struggles to get up from on bottom. And he also was subbed by Pacquiao in that fight. So as the prediction goes, this is a really tough test because Catalan is a much better fighter. As I said, he's made huge improvements from the fight 7 years ago. And Silva, it's really hard to trust at this age. A guy who's always kind of struggled to get a fighter down. Like, I don't know if he'll be able to take Catalan down. But Catalan doesn't have, rock solid takedown defense. I can see him stopping some takedowns, but I could see Silva finding creative ways to get it down. He could Emilbek roll. He could just pull guard. He could let Catalan take him down, and then once it hits the ground, that's where he starts working his sub game. Eventually sweeping, eventually getting on top. And Pacquiao submitted Catalan in the second round. I'm going to say Silva shows that he still has some left in the tank, and I'm going to say Silva also gets a submission. I'm going to take him by second round submission. Now, here we go. We're going to move to the main event of the night. Really fun stylistic matchup. We have Lito Adiwang, and I apologize if I said that name wrong. Lito Adiwang versus Jared Brooks. Adiwang is a very exciting fighter. He's a very good athlete. He's light on his feet. He throws really, really hard, but he tends to be wild. He tends to load up on everything, trying to end the fight with single shots. He tends to throw single strikes, a lot of hooks. He can slow down due to that as the fight goes on, but he also has a really good kick series. Hard kicks to the body, hard kicks to the legs, really fast high kick. He'll throw in a flying knee, flying push kick, all kinds of flying stuff. He isn't a strong wrestler, but he can grapple. He does have a few submission wins on his record. Now move over to Jared Brooks. Jared Brooks, if you're familiar with him, you probably remember him from his time in the UFC. He also fought in Bellator. Now he's with one championship. He tends to be undersized for 125 pounds, but now joining one championship and then no weight cut rule, this might be the right organization for him to really not be undersized in the weight class. Brooks is on the feet. He's fast. He likes to box in the pocket. Decent pop in his strikes. but everything he does on oh, he also, well, hold on, let me back up. He also throws like a flying stuff just to kind of force his opponent back. He'll also throw like a flying knee or something like that. But everything he does in his striking is really just to set up his takedowns, where he's a really good wrestler, really good entries. Though he's a bit undersized, he is so strong. He has such great hip control, and he's got such a good base underneath of him that he can generate the power to lift his opponent in the air and slam him down. Once on top, smothering top control, he looks to ground and pound. If a scramble ensues, he takes the opportunity to try to take his opponents back. Backpack, we see him doing that recently in a lot of fights. And he does have 5 submission wins. So as far as the prediction of the main event, I think Brooks is good. He has 2 career losses. One was a split decision loss to former UFC flyweight champion Davison Figueiredo in a fight that many people thought he won, thought he shouldn't have got the loss. And then his other loss was a KO slam against Jose Shorty Torres in a fight that, I mean, it was brief and it was short, but he was winning that fight up to that point where he lifts Jose Torres up, and when he goes to slam down, he actually falls on his own head and knocks himself out. I think Adiwang is a good stylistic matchup for Brooks based on him always loading up on shots or even trying these flying takedowns. I think those moves really sets up the Brooks game, where Brooks can either catch him as he's flying or while he's loading up a shot, just dropping underneath on his hips, getting a takedown. And I see Brooks doing that a lot. I see Brooks getting takedowns in every round, and I think Brooks picks up a win. I don't think he finds a finish. I just think he wins by decision. So there you guys have it. I said this was going to be a shorter show, only 3 MMA fights. But I will be back next week doing this all over again for one championship, where we're wrapping up the Atomweight Grand Prix, the Women's Atomweight Grand Prix, where I've already done the entire predictions. I've done it for the first round. I did it for the semifinals. We have a great finals match. And I'll be previewing all of that. In the meantime, guys, please like this video. Please share this video. Please subscribe to the channel. Check out some other things on the channel. If you want more breakdown shows, both me and Ben Duff, we also do a UFC breakdown show. We also do recaps. We have a whole bunch of stuff. We have interviews, all this other stuff. And last thing, guys, if you're in America, I know this week we have Thanksgiving. I want to wish all the listeners a happy Thanksgiving. Leave a comment in this. Tell me who you're picking. And I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for listening.